Hej och välkomna till avsnitt 799 av Amerikanska nyhetsanalyser med mig Ronie Berggren. Det pågår just nu en omfattande förföljelse av Nigerias kristna. Terroristgruppen Boko Haram har sedan länge varit känd i väst, men en ännu mer omfattande förföljelse av kristna bedrivs just nu av muslimska fulani-herdefolket i en omfattning som västvärlden inte har rapporterat om. I detta avsnitt följer en intervju med pastor Samuel Newze som bor i Sverige men som har god insikt i förhållandet i sitt födelseland. Varmt välkomna. Samuel Newze, welcome.
Thank you very much, Ronie.
You have a background in Nigeria, but you live in Sweden. Can you tell me a little bit how you ended up in Sweden and what you do here in Sweden?
Yes. I moved to Sweden with my ex-wife at the end of 1995, and I had 3 children with her. We got separated a couple of years ago. I am married with a Christian lady. Dr. Ebere is her name. And I've been living in Sweden since that time, since 1995, December. And I have done quite a couple of things since then. I worked before in one of the African embassies. I will withhold the name. And I studied here. I studied at the Stockholm School of Theology, and eventually I ended up at North Park Theological Seminary in Chicago, Illinois, where I obtained my Master of Divinity in Theology, Pastoral Theology, and in 2009 I was ordained by the then Swedish Mission Kyrkan, Svenska Missionskyrkan. I was actually the first ever African pastor of African descent that was ordained by the Svenska Missionskyrkan since its establishment and in 1878. So it was kind of a historic event for me and for so many. Eventually, you probably know that a couple of years ago, the Swedish Mission Kyrkan came together with the Baptist Church and Methodist Church under a new name called Ecumenical Kyrkan. So I am presently doing my pastoral work under Ecumenical Kyrkan, specifically in Hallunda, Ecumenical Kyrkan Hallunda. Here in Northern Botkyrka. That is where I am presently.
I see. All right. But you have your background in Nigeria, and we're going to talk about the persecution of Christians in Nigeria, because a couple of days ago you held a demonstration together with some other people in Stockholm to make the world recognize the persecutions of Christians in Nigeria. So can you begin with telling me a little bit about the persecution?
Yes. The fact is, I would admit that I left Nigeria quite a number of years ago, over 20 years ago. But I know quite a lot about some of the persecutions that are going on there. I mean, I visit Nigeria every now and then. The last time I visited was last year, 2018, during the summer. And besides that, I still have my people there. My family is there. My friends are there. My fellow, my pastor friends are there working as pastors. And some of them have NGOs that we try to support from here. So with all those, I have quite a a good source of information about what the persecution that is going on there. When I was down there last year, for example, I got to learn quite a lot, and I almost, with my wife, almost experienced it, but God was with us. The fact is, it is true that Christians are going through quite a lot. Not just in one state, because Nigeria is organized in states. Nigeria has 36 different states, plus the federal capital, which is Abuja. So the persecution of Christians is not limited to just one state or just one part of Nigeria. It is something that is so overwhelming that Christians everywhere are experiencing that. Unfortunately, very sadly, this is not something that started today. It is something that has always been, but never a time in the history of Nigeria did it get this bad. It's really bad now. It's almost like if I can say, almost like an agenda. Sadly, that it feels like that it's almost like an agenda that Christians are targeted where they are large in numbers in states, especially that are, I can say, predominantly Muslim, for example. It's like there's a lot that goes on there. It's like...
Let me put in a basic question. The southern part of Nigeria is Christian, right? And the northern part is Islamic. Is that correct?
Yes and no. Yes, because yes, the northern part of Nigeria is predominantly Muslim. But one must admit that there's quite a large number of Christians in those parts of the north. In the south also, especially in the southwest, there's a good blend of, especially in certain states, a good blend of Muslims and Christians that have lived in peace for so many years and largely still living in peace today. I mean, in the western, but in the southeast is predominantly Christian, with a sprinkling of, Muslims here and there. So that's kind of how, in the middle belt, there's a section called the middle belt, the central part of Nigeria is also predominantly Christian. And a lot of what has been going on, the persecution, the killings, have mostly centered around middle portion, where anybody can cross over from this side to the other side. So it's a lot of persecution, a lot of killings that are going on in that part, that have been going on.
Yeah, and the persecution, at least what I'm reading, is that it's the Fulani herdsmen that attacks Christians. Can you describe what they do and why they do the things they do?
Yes, it's very painful, really, to have to describe this. The reason I say this is I grew up seeing Fulani cattle rearers in my area. I mean, there never used to be any problem. They will have their stick, they will move around with their cows, grazing their cows in certain areas where they would find grass. But today, that doesn't seem to be the same, because a lot of these killings now are being perpetrated by them, because now almost nobody sees them with the sticks. They are now seen with guns, with AK-47s. strapped around their shoulders. That is the picture of them that you see now when they appear in newspapers. And so a lot of, admittedly so, a lot of the killings that are going on are attributed to them. As I speak, as recently as yesterday or day before yesterday, in one of the southern states of Nigeria, one of the southeastern states of Nigeria, a group of farmers were slaughtered, were killed in their farms by the Fulani herdsmen. I mean, they cannot be mistaken. I mean, nobody can be mistaken about identifying them, because you see their cows, you see them, and you see them moving around, and they are the ones that are largely behind these killings. So the people that used to be friendly to the communities where they grazed their land have suddenly become sources of terror and death. So sadly, at the same time that the people need the cow that they are moving around with. I mean, their cow provides sources of meat to every part of the country. At the same time now that it's like there's a dilemma. Do you want the cows and death? Or it's a problem. But if I'm answering your question, yes, I can say that a lot of the killings are attributed to them. And that is the truth.
Yeah. Can you describe details? I know it's probably very traumatic for you, but so the listeners can understand what is actually happening to the Christians.
I would say Christians have been known to be persecuted, to be killed over the years. The Christian history is laden with persecution. Persecution is part of the Christian story, but never a time in Nigeria's history have Christians been subject to the kind of gruesome death that are witnessed now. I mean, when I say gruesome death, I mean things like butchering as if like an animal with a machete, with guns, with clubs, and any possible thing that can bring about agonizing death. That is what Christians go through. And these are innocent people. These are women. These are men. These are old people. These are young people. As I speak to you now, I mean, I have a picture of a young guy that was killed in 2017 in one of the northern parts of Nigeria that has a large population of Christians, a Christian guy that was just killed. So people that have no reason to die, they die just because they are Christian, just because they just want to, be Christian, and they get killed, they lose their lives, and just like that.
Yeah, you said that things had changed in the mentality of the Islamic herdsmen. What changed? Why did they become so radicalized?
It's very difficult to say. Those of us that are in the pastoral ministry, we read the Bible, and we read into the Bible the biblical prophecy for the end time, for the end of time, that evil will multiply. And there is a belief in many circles that, people point to the fact that a section of the country or want to have domination over the other parts of the country and take over the lands that belong to other people and advantage their own faith over other people's faith. So it's a whole lot of things that are going on. So it's really very hard to describe what is behind this, other than that evil is multiplying. And I think that some religions would wish that every other person becomes part of them, but that's not going to happen, because Christians understand that everybody cannot become Christian, yet we must find a way to live with one another. And that is why even up north, we find Christians living among Muslims, living in peace. There are many places that Christians are living in peace with Muslims, and they understand that religion is just one aspect of who we are as humans. So we don't have to kill one another as a result of the difference in the faith that we have. But this quest, this desire for domination, this desire for conquering other people and making them look like you, may not be far from the reason these things are happening, very sadly. Yeah.
There is also another terrorist group called Boko Haram, very known in the West also. What is the difference between Boko Haram and the Islamic Fulani herdsmen?
I wish I can give you the answer, but I know that Nigeria government and to a large extent many foreign countries and like European Union and I believe the United Nations, United States, all regard Boko Haram as a terrorist group, which is what they are by definition. But Fulani herdsmen are business people. They are people that move around. They've always done that. I grew up seeing these people. I grew up. So it is their meat. The source of protein that I grew up with came from the cows that Fulani herdsmen, sold to my people in those days. So I grew up seeing them. But like I said in the beginning, never a time were they associated with the kind of killings that they are associated with today. So they are not regarded as terrorists. They are business people that by the nature of their tribe, they wander about, they roam about, they move from place to place with their cattle.
Yeah.
So this, what the killings have become something. So nobody knows if somebody is behind this. Nobody knows what other agenda has been added to the business side of their cattle rearing. But definitely, given the state of the killings and the regularity of the killings and the nature and the increasing brutality of the killings, one cannot simply say that they remain business people with their cattle.
I see.
I believe that something more than business is happening, is going on.
Yeah, see, we're going to talk soon about the response from the world towards this, but I want to ask one more question about the subject. Is it, on a scale, I mean, how huge is the persecution? Is it like 10 times a year, or is it like thousands? Can you describe the totality of the persecution?
It's difficult to put it to numbers, but I am looking at, I have done some research, and it depends on when it happens. Sometimes it happens and more than 200 people are killed there. Sometimes it happens and 40-something people are killed. Sometimes it happens and 10 people are killed, or 2 people are killed, or 1 person is killed. So it is something that is so regular, and each time, and if it happens and 1 person is killed, 1 person is a lot of people in terms of wasted life. So the regularity of it makes it that the number is huge. It's really huge. Number of people that are being killed all over Nigeria, everywhere. Every imaginable part of Nigeria is mourning, is grieving. People are grieving. Families are grieving everywhere. And it's not being stopped. It's on the increase.
Would you say that it's genocide?
I don't know if I can put the term genocide to it, but when something is regular, if I have a family of 20 and every other day two are taken away, or one is taken away, and the number keeps reducing. I think if my understanding of genocide means, an extermination of a generation of people, then it will not be far from it, because every new Christian life that is lost is minus one Christian in Nigeria, especially when there is no reason to kill that person. So if that qualifies it as genocide, then it will not be far from that, because it's regular. It's happening every day. Yeah. It's happening every time.
Yeah. Let's go on and talk a little bit about what governments are doing. The first question is: the Nigerian government, do they do anything to stop this?
When you interview any Christian from Nigeria that would want to speak honestly about this, nobody can positively answer in the affirmative. You know that when such things happen in other parts of the world, even the rulers, the leaders of those countries, they stand up, they condemn it, they do something. If it happens 10 times a day. I remember, for example, in the United States, whenever there's a shooting anywhere, there is a new proclamation, there is new condemnation that comes from the President of America, because every single life matters. It doesn't seem to happen like that in Nigeria. There is a culture of silence about the killings, probably because it's happening so frequently that there can be no proclamation of condemnation each time it happens. But every life matters. So I would not say that the response to what is going on from the Nigerian authorities are anything to go by, to write on about. I think one would want to have a serious utterances, serious concerns expressed, and serious action taken by the government each time it happens. I mean, don't misunderstand me. There are killings that are. It's not only Christians that are being killed in terms of killing. I mean, Boko Haram, when they go on rampage, they don't discriminate. They kill Muslims, they kill Christians, they kill, people that believe in other things. But when it comes to the Fulani herdsmen, it's a different story. It's almost like Christian communities are singled out for attack. It's almost like Christian persons are singled out for attack. And there's not sufficient response from the government. And it's a problem. I think it's a problem.
I see. Would you say that the Nigerian government might be harsher towards Boko Haram than towards the Fulani herdsmen?
Definitely, yes.
Okay.
Definitely, yes. Because Nigerian government is fighting hard against Boko Haram activities every day, coming out with, new strategies and mobilizing forces and equipment to fight. But when it comes to Fulani herdsmen, I don't see any action. I don't see any coordination. I don't see even verbal condemnation. It seems to be lacking, and it's not.
Yeah, I see. And you could say that it's the same thing in the rest of the world, in the Western world, in the Western media. You don't read much about this in the Swedish media, for an example. So this is like a black spot in the Western world perception of Nigeria. What do you have to say about Swedish media, for instance?
I have a lot of respect for the Swedish media. Living in Sweden, I like the way their news coverage and all that. But I think that given the fact that there are so many Nigerians that live in Sweden that are part of the Swedish society, that the Swedish media should care about things that touch them. I want to see the Swedish media get more interested, increase their interest in what happens in such a huge and important country like Nigeria. The world definitely needs Nigeria. But what I have seen is that anytime, even if there's a coverage, it will be just like a slight mention of what is happening in a country like Nigeria. And what is happening in Nigeria is enough to constantly make news headlines. But that's not what I see. I would want, just like I said at the demonstration, I would want the Swedish media to show more interest, because Sweden is a place, has always been a place of refuge for the persecuted, for the harassed, for the abused. I want the media to reflect that in their reporting, to be a voice to the voiceless. I want them, because what is said by the Swedish media is heard all over the world. Sweden is a very respected country. So if they blow a trumpet, it will reverberate in many countries. Yeah. So I would want them to increase their shouting of what is happening to people that have done nothing other than that they have a faith that does not seek to destroy anyone, a faith that is peaceful, a faith they've always had, and they have vowed not to fight back. That's one more reason countries like Sweden should take interest, because Christians are saying, we don't want to kill anyone. We don't want to fight back. We can fight back, but we don't want to fight back because the world will explode if we fight back. But let people help us to stop the persecution, the killings. Christian persecution can never be stopped. It's part of who we are as Christians. But at least to stop the killings of innocent people, sending people to untimely death that have no reason dying. So that's something I think that is a blind spot, a missing link in the Swedish media that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, and if you would say something to the Swedish government, what can the Swedish government do to actually make a change? Because I have heard some people say that you have to separate Nigeria in a Christian southern part and in the Islamic northern part, and put a big border between. Is that the solution, or is it? What should the Swedish government do to act politically?
This is a very tricky question indeed. Some people believe that if something is not working, then do something about it. If two people, it's just like in marriage, if there's a subjugation of the stronger, of the weaker by the stronger, do something to separate the weaker from the stronger. Since the stronger is not going to release the stronger to freedom voluntarily, so somebody needs to intervene to rescue the weaker. So some people view it along those lines. And as you know, there's a strong agitation by the southeasterners and the south part of Nigeria to be free. That's not kind of what I guess that's not what, this is not the forum for me to address that. But if that happens, well and good. It depends on what the agreement between them and the Nigerian government. But you asked me what I would want the Swedish government to do. I think I would expect the Swedish government and other governments that have strong voice, especially in the EU and in the United Nations, to call Nigerian government to order and say, you can help to mitigate, to reduce this agitation by addressing the concerns of those that are screaming for help, those that are genuinely screaming for help, shouting for help, wanting to be free, not because they consider it the best, but because they are not getting help from you, the government of Nigeria. So if all sides can be brought to the table for a strong dialogue to see how the country can be united, so that no part of the country will be made to look like they are not sufficiently nationals of Nigeria, citizens of Nigeria, and disadvantaged in every aspect of Nigeria polity, including economical and political and otherwise, then I think that Nigeria government will hear. But when there's an aloofness being shown by foreign governments, it's another way of telling the people that are being persecuted, people that are being subjugated, to resolve to really want to take their freedom by force. That's, of course, people are free to fight for their freedom, but if something, I think there's strength in unity, but definitely not when that strength is constantly being owned up, seized by only one section of the tree.
Yeah.
So there's so much that the Swedish government can help to do because they have a strong voice.
Yes, indeed. Well, with that said, I want to thank you for taking time. This is a very important subject, and God bless you, and thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Ronnie. Thank you.